Hello and welcome back to Introduction to Programming using Python. We've covered input and output and assignment. We're now going to look at sequence and selection. Where are you hiding? Here you are. So we're programming currently in the Python shell, and we'll carry on for the time being. So we're going to look at sequence we've already covered, really, because sequence is simply doing one thing after another. So we write a list of instructions and one after another. But we're going to do a bit more sequence, but this time focusing on selection with it. So first of all, I am going to print hello. So I do that. In fact, why don't we find a different place to program? A different place to program right now is going to be File, New Window. We get a new window that looks similar to the first window, but actually if you look at this window, this one's got Run. So we can actually run this code. So we can type all the code in the window and then run it. So I need to save it first. So I'm going to File and Save As, and I'm going to call it example py, and I have to give it the file extension .py for it to be a Python program. .py, that's the extension. Okay, so now I have this saved, and if I want to add comments to my code, I can use the hash. I think in the US they call that the pound key, and now I can comment this code. So I'll call this one sequence and selection. So the hash tells the interpreter, which changes this into ones and zeros, because ones and zeros are the only things, that's machine code, it's the only thing that can run on a processor, and the interpreter will ignore whatever comes out after the hash so that it can add comments. Now I'm going to print hello. So I print a message, and then I'm going to give myself a variable. So I'm going to create a variable called name, and it's going to be assigned the value using raw input. It's going to be assigned the value that the user types in. I'm going to prompt the user to enter their name. Enter your name. And that's a prompt. And this function takes as its argument a string, which is a set of characters that goes into the function. It will write it to the screen, and then when the user types something in and presses enter, it will come out of this function through the assignment operator and into the box labeled name. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say print. I'm going to say hello space. I'm going to end my string, and I'm going to do something called concatenation. I'm going to concatenate hello, which is a string, and concatenate just means to join. I'm going to join one string to the value of this variable called name, because this variable is getting a name, so it's also a string. It's not a number, so I can concatenate it. Now I'm going to run this, but it won't run. Watch what happens. Oh, it says it must be saved, so I save it, and now it runs. It says hello, enter your name, and I enter my name. I say my name is Mary. I've already used Joe, so let's use Mary, and it says hello Mary, and that's my little Python program. So let's close that, and now I'm going to look at selection. So I'm going to just give a comment here. This is selection. So sequence is doing one thing after another, and selection is making a decision, basically. So I've asked for the name, and now I'm going to say if name equals Joe, and for those of you that are familiar with Python, there's an intentional error in here, and you'll see why in a second. If name equals Joe, there's another unintentional error. I say if name equals Joe, then, and the way I say n is by inserting colon here, and the white space in Python matters. You'll get used to this, but you notice it's tabbed over, so you need to leave it like that, otherwise it won't work properly. And I'm going to say, I'm going to print hello, then concatenate with name. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say else, and notice I tabbed over. That's important. It'll become clear once you practice this, so don't try to understand it all right now. So then I'm going to print I don't know you. And that's the end of my statement. So I say if your name is Joe, then I'm going to print hello Joe, and otherwise I'm going to say I don't know you. Now this isn't going to run, and there's a reason for that. First of all, I haven't saved it, so I need to save. Secondly, I've got a syntax error. Now this isn't always helpful, but you will get used to it, and it's a necessary part of programming. Equals here, this is the assignment operator. If I want to say if name equals Joe, I have to put two equals in. And now I'm going to run, but I need to save it. And it runs. Enter your name. So I'm Joe. Hello Joe. I got a bit of a bug there because it prints out twice. But let's move on. I'm going to run this again. Now this time I'm just going to hit F5. It's a shortcut. You'll get used to that when you're doing this a lot. So I'm just going to hit F5 and run it. Enter your name, and this time I'll be Jim. And it says hello Jim. Ah, hello Jim, I don't know you. It should have said, okay, that's why it's happening. So here it says if your name is Jim, I don't know you. The reason it's saying hello Jim is because of this code up here. I'd left this one in. I forgot this one was in here. So it's executing that, and that's why it said hello Joe twice, and why it also said hello Jim. I've just commented it out, which I can do. I hit Control S to save and F5 to run. Oops, got a mistake here. Mistakes are good. You learn things if you make mistakes. Line 10, and name is not defined. What I did here is I commented out the assignment to name. So I can't comment that out. I meant to comment out this hello. So I need to save that again, hit F5 and enter your name, Mary, I don't know you. So that's sequence. There's one other thing I'll show you on sequence. What I'm going to do, so there's Mary. So now that we've met Mary, let's come down here and insert another line. And this line is going to say elif. Elif is a Python thing, which is short for else if. So if your name equals Joe, then print hello name. And then we say else if elif name equals Mary. Remember the colon means then, and I'm just going to do the same thing actually, because then it's going to print hello Mary. Else print I don't know you. So I've added an elif, and the reason this is important is I can have multiple conditions, particularly with the menu. Choose A, B, C, or D, and I can say if answer equals A, then do this. Else if or elif answer equals B, then do this. Elif answer equals C, then do something. Elif answer equals D, then do something else. And then I can use else for any other condition, which is good for trapping errors. If you've got a menu that says A, B, or C, or D, then you can use else to say any other character and say please enter A, B, C, or D. But once again, you won't understand that now, but once you practice it becomes easy. So if, else if, and else. So you can add as many of these as you want within a single if statement. So let's save it, Control S and F5, the shortcut for running. And here we go, enter the name. We know Joe worked before. Let's run it again. F5, we run it again, bring it up here. This time it's going to be Mary. We know Mary now, and we run it again. I'll do it this way this time. And we enter another name, Jim. We don't know Jim. So that's basically that was sequence, doing one thing after another, and this bit here is selection, sequence and selection. One last thing about selection. One way we could explain the sequence or selection is we could say if Boolean expression then statement, and a statement is an instruction to the computer to do something, and I can have multiple statements in here. I might not have a statement here also, But I'm saying if Boolean expression, so a Boolean expression is one that evaluates to true or false. So if this Boolean expression is true, then we'll do this. Else, if this Boolean expression is true, then we'll do these two things. Else, if neither of these evaluates to true, then we'll do whatever is in here. So we can have one or more statements in here, multiple statements. But this is one way we consider or explain or describe selection. Once again, this might seem confusing now, but it's the root of programming. It really is the root of programming, the selection process here. And once you practice it, it will become clearer and clearer. So the understanding is built up gradually. It doesn't just suddenly come, it's built up gradually with practice. Thank you.